I'm Jonathan Nile. I'm responsible for the International Security Studies here at the Institute. It's very nice to see you all. And apologies for the rather short notice for this presentation, but I'm glad to see that the numbers are quite substantial of participants. Now, you were all treated over the last few months to an enormous amount of speculation about what the fifth generation of Chinese leadership means. In fact, this is one of the tests. This is a particular British test about how to open a bottle of water. We still got to teach the Chinese something. And there was an enormous amount of speculation about who the individuals will be, what they represent in the top leadership, indeed even how many of them are likely to be elected in the top leadership. Now, I don't think that General Gong will get into that, partly because the answer has already been provided at the party congress that just finished. We know what the leadership is. We also are beginning to get indications of where they want to take. What we have heard less about is a statement of Chinese security concerns, defense and security concerns, as they currently are. I hope you will agree with me at the end of today that there are few people who are better at articulating that than General Gong. I have to sort of make a personal statement of interest. General Gong has been a great supporter of the Institute and the relationship between the China Institute for International Strategic Studies and ourselves for many years. So I'm very grateful personally to the work that he has contributed to us and to his personal friendship, which was just as valuable. But I think, as will become clear to you, General Gong has spent many years contributing to a variety of academic publications and initiatives which try to explain in a simple, straightforward language Chinese concerns and Chinese preoccupations. The rules of the game, may I please ask you first of all to dim your mobile phones, if you don't mind. I've had all the potential tunes possible, ringing tunes. Secondly, the rules is that the presentation is on the record, but all the subsequent discussion is off the record. We will have a translation for the discussion, mainly for the benefit of other members of the delegation, but also for the benefit of accuracy, so that we know that the answer has been provided precisely to the question. The General assures me that every question will be answered precisely. General Gong.
Well, thank you, Dr. Jonathan, my old friend, and thank you very much for your kind introduction and warm remarks. It's really a great pleasure and honor for me to speak before the distinguished members of RUSI. I would like to make my presentation on China's security concerns and its national security strategy, which of course is really a very difficult task for me to fulfill. And I would like to thank the host for their kind invitation and this specific arrangement for this occasion. As you may know, my presentation has the title that is China's Security Concerns and its National Security Strategy, which may be a little different from what you have known the title of the speech given by RUSI. That is the defense security concerns for the next, the fifth Chinese generation. I don't think I have the capability to speak on behalf of them. But anyway, I will try to give my perspectives on this subject. I will do my best to share my perspectives because I'm a soldier, of course retired soldier, an old soldier. So as a soldier, I would like to present my speech in very frank and straightforward manner. Here, I would like to emphasize what I'm going to say is purely my personal views and does not represent any official institutions. National security is always one of the most important issues for all the countries of the world. In the new century, the international situation has undergone profound changes, which makes safeguarding national security more challenging. How to enhance national security has become the top priority for the Chinese government on governing the country and maintaining fast and sustainable economic development. China's security concerns are based on the strategic assessment of the security threats and challenges it faces. Since China places emphasis on the concept of comprehensive security, its security concerns cover, in terms of the scope, the internal and external security issues. In terms of the nature, they cover the traditional and the non-traditional security issues. And in terms of the scope, they cover the economic, the political, the military, science, technological, cultural, and social ones. And in terms of space, time-space, they cover the short-term, mid-term, and the long-term security concerns. Our strategic assessment, just as pointed out in the report made by Hu Jintao at the 18th National Congress of the CPC, is that ahead of us are unprecedented opportunities for development, and as well as risks and challenges unknown before. We believe that since the dawn of the new century, the international security situation has witnessed profound and complex changes. Peace and development remains the principal themes of the time, and the overall international situation remains stable. But uncertainties and destabilizing factors are on the rise, and the new security threats and challenges are continuously emerging. Traditional security threats and non-traditional security threats, internal security threats and external security threats are interwoven and interactive. China is confronted with long-term, complicated, diverse, and volatile security threats and challenges. Specifically speaking, China's main security concerns are as follows. On the internal front, first, separated forces such as Taiwan independence, East Turkestan independence, and Tibet independence are posing serious threats to China's unity and security. Although the pro-Taiwan independence forces have suffered great setbacks in their attempt to seek the jure independence of Taiwan, the cross-strait relations have entered a stage of peaceful development and achieved marked improvement based on the 1992 consensus. Yet the situation in the Taiwan Straits is still faced with various challenges. Peaceful development across the Taiwan Straits is likely to encounter with twists and turns and even retrogress in the future. The possibility that serious security threats come to the fore cannot be excluded. The East Turkestan issue, the separate forces are pushing forward the internationalization of the East Turkestan issue and trying in every way to infiltrate into Xinjiang to instigate riots from time to time. The terrorist activities in Xinjiang conducted by the East Turkestan Islamic movement and other separate groups are posing immediate threats to China's national security. In recent years, the Tibet independence forces have carried out sabotage activities in some areas in Tibet. The radical forces, like the Tibetan Youth Congress, are gaining more strength and influence, which suggests that the post-Dalai Lama situation in Tibet may have greater variables. The second, the hostile forces such as Falun Gong and the so-called democratic movements have been all along disturbing and destabilizing China's social stability. The Falun Gong elements will not give up their plot to instigate the long-term confrontation with the Chinese government and will continue to carry out the infiltration and sabotage activities against China by making use of their footholds in the foreign countries. The forces of the so-called democratic movements will continue their anti-Chinese propaganda and attempt to undermine China's internal stability under the disguise of so-called safeguarding the rights. Moreover, the collusion and collaboration among the various hostile forces is gaining new momentum, and they have more often than not joined hands in making troubles against China by taking advantage of those sensitive occasions and events. Third, the larger-scale mass incidents will remain the hidden danger threatening the social stability. At the moment, China faces some serious problems such as widening gap between the rich and the poor, unfair income distribution, and serious corruption at different levels, and so on, which has caused some discontent among the population. More importantly, for the years to come, China will be in the crucial historical period of economic and social transition with the transformation of the economic growth model, deepening the reform, and the readjustment of social structure and interest distribution. All these are the hard nuts to crack and involve different interest groups, which may trigger off new contradictions and various mass incidents, thus exerting certain negative effects on the social stability in the country. Fourth, various non-traditional security threats will constitute challenges in different fields. The economic security obviously remains fragile, with energy security, food security becoming more prominent. Terrorism, transnational crimes, information security, including cybersecurity, public health security, natural disasters will also bring about negative impact to China's security to different degrees. Now, on the external front, first, China's peaceful development is faced with ever-increasing external constraints and pressure. The United States regards China as the strategic adversary and is pursuing a hedging strategy toward China. In face of an increasingly stronger China, the U.S. is more and more worried about China's challenge to its dominant position in the world, and in East Asia in particular. For that, the U.S. is stepping up its prevention, constraints, and containment against China. With a strategic pivot to Asia, the U.S. is increasing its strategic input into the region and strengthening the military deployment. At the same time, it is continuously intensifying its military alliance with Japan, UK, and Australia. Of course, all these developments cannot be interpreted as a sole intention to contain China, but they, along with the continuous arms sale to Taiwan and the closing reconnaissance against Chinese coasts by the U.S., will not only undermine China's security interests, but also create greater strategic pressure on China. The second, Japan's ultra-right nationalism is rapidly growing, with the right-wing forces gaining more ground. Japan is set to revise its pacifist constitution and attempt to exercise the right to collective self-defense in the name of becoming as a normal country. The Japanese Diet has already passed the referendum law, which paved the way for speeding up the constitution amending process. The Japanese Defense Agency has been upgraded as the Defense Ministry. Japan has constantly breached the taboos of the security policy by getting rid of constraints on overseas dispatch of its troops so as to play more military role in the international arena. Japanese government's recent purchase of the Diaoyu Islands and the swollen arrogance of the right-wing forces represented by Tokyo Governor Shintaro Ishihara are showing the resurrection of the militarism in Japan. Given the Japanese erroneous attitude towards the history issue and the great sufferings of Chinese people during the Japanese aggression, the regional countries, and China in particular, are deeply concerned with Japan's deviation to the right. Third, the territorial disputes between China and some neighboring countries are heating up rather than cooling down. China and Japan are locked in the dispute over the Diaoyu Islands and the continental shelf in the East China Sea. Since Southeast nations, including Vietnam, the Philippines, and others, have not only occupied some of China's islands in the South China Sea, but also have territorial claims over other islands under China's control. The Chinese maritimes and interests have been encroached upon from time to time. The efforts to solve the border dispute between China and India have so far made no substantial progress. If all these disputes cannot be handled properly, they will affect the relations between China and the countries concerned and undermine China's security interests and territorial integrity. Fourth, the non-traditional security threats represented by international terrorism are on the increase in the region. The terrorist activities in some South Asian and Southeast Asian countries are rampant. The three evil forces, that is terrorism, separatism, and extremism in Central Asia, together with terrorist groups in South Asia, pose serious threats to the stability in China's northwestern region. The North Korean nuclear issue is full of twisted turns, which has seriously affected the security and stability on the Korean Peninsula and in the whole region as well. There is no quick solution in sight of this issue because of its complexity and the long-standing hostility and mistrust between North Korea and the United States and ROK. Whether North Korea possesses nuclear weapons leading to a chain reaction in Northeast Asia or serious conflicts between the two Koreans, China will face grave security problems. Other non-traditional security issues such as transnational crimes, drug trafficking, illegal immigration, money laundering, piracy, epidemic diseases, natural disasters, etc., are the major security concerns of the regional countries. In many cases, China has always been one of the countries suffering the most. So, based on the strategic assessment of the security threats and challenges, China has adopted a comprehensive national security strategy which embodies the highest strategic planning and operation for the pursuit of the national security interests, and China's national security strategy contains such elements as defining national security interests and security goals, pursuing related policies, taking strategic measures to implement the strategy. China's national security interests and goals can be defined as follows: to maintain fast, steady and sustainable development of national economy so as to ensure the realization of the three-step strategic goal of China's modernization. That is to develop China into a moderately prosperous developed nation by 2050, to preserve domestic political stability and unity so as to ensure the implementation of the opening up and the reform policies and measures, to safeguard national security, to ensure that its unification of the country will not be undermined and its territorial integrity will not be encroached, to preserve world peace and promote common development so as to maintain a sound international and peripheral security environment favorable to China's development. To put it in a simple way, the national security interests and goals can be summarized into the three words, that is, reform, stability, and development. That is to say, to ensure security and stability, to guarantee development, to carry out reform, to promote development, and to speed up development to ensure stability. The policies and measures to implement the national security strategy are manifested in the following aspects. Here, I just want to outline these points. First, to make every effort to complete the building of the moderately prosperous society in all aspects and to enable overall national strength by sticking to economic construction as the central task. Economic development is the foundation of national security. Therefore, China is gearing up its economic development by way of opening up and reform so as to make good use of new achievements of the world economy, science and technologies to realize its leapfrog and sustainable economic development. The second, to place emphasis on handling properly both the overall international situation and the domestic situation, to seek a long-term peaceful and stable international environment and maintain domestic stability for economic development. For that, China is adhering to the path of peaceful development and to pursuing an independent foreign policy of peace. She has called for establishing a harmonious world and advocated a new security concept featuring mutual trust, mutual benefit, equality, and coordination. She has carried out all-round diplomacy of improving relations with the major powers, strengthening relations of friendship and good neighborhood with the neighboring countries, and steadily promoting relations with the developing countries. At the same time, she has persevered in focusing its attention on maintaining political and social stability at home. And the third, to step up the military modernization, to build a strong military commensurate with China's security needs and growing national interests. Since entering upon the new century, China has increased input in the military modernization and has made great headway in this respect. She has focused and will continue to focus mainly on improving the quality and optimizing the structure so as to build lean armed forces with high efficiency, strengthening research and development of new and advanced weaponry and equipment, training professional officers and men of high calibers. And the last point, to properly handle the interrelations of the various aspects of national security. That is to say, to define the priorities of actions and measures in coping with multiple security threats which may occur at the same time in a planned and coordinated way in order to achieve the best results. Thank you for your attention.
General, would you like to take a seat?